Hey, can you just not move too much and just sleep, please? You've been tossing and turning around on the bed too much, and that's disturbing me. What? You need to cuddle? Oh, come on, babe, it's not that cold right now. We both know how weather it is currently. It's just a thunder, okay? It's not going to harm you. Hey, you don't have to scream. It's just thunder. It's outside and we're safe here in our house. It's not going to catch you and kill you. Hey, please, babe, just calm down. You're acting like a real baby. Oh, no, now what? The power went off? This is bad. Let me just light some candles so it will be not too dark. Hey, let me go so that I can get the candles. Nothing to be scared about, babe. Just stay here and let me take those candles, will ya? Just stay there and I'll get some candles. Baby, I've got some candles and I will put one here, okay? Baby? Are you still crying? Come on, let's just go back to bed. Babe, come on. What? You want me to sleep first? When you will be sleeping then? Later? Babe, Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get mad to you when you need my comfort. It's just a lot of things happen and I'm really tired. Okay, let's lay down again and I'll read you bedtime story. How is that sound? Good. Come here. Let's get comfy on the bed. Once upon a time in a faraway kingdom, there rules the king with his 5 young princes. He loved his sons very, very much and never let them lost from his sight. Even if there's some case that the prince must go, he tells to leave the youngest prince to stay with him while older prince take care of the situation. As the times goes, an older prince has finally old enough to get married, so the prince asked the king if they could find the princess that they really wanted to marry. The king can't deny that, so he let his son to go on a journey and find their beloved princess, but the youngest prince wasn't old enough, so he stayed with his father. The prince suited themselves with finesse and the most glorious outfits in the kingdom and asked for the fastest horse. And once they set off to find the queen that their hearts desire. The prince searched far and wide all over neighboring kingdoms and finally they reached the last kingdom. And there, the king of that kingdom had 4 princesses too. They were so beautiful that the prince immediately fell in love with them. So the father of the princess let the prince marry his daughter, as he and the prince's father will have strong partnership connection because of their marriage. So the prince got what their heart want, and happy royal couples returned back to the kingdom as they set the date to marry in Prince's kingdom. But on the way near a dark valley, they lived a giant, and prince and princess accidentally waked that giant up, and on one glare of that giant, everyone, including horse, turned to stones. The kings waited and waited for messages from their sons and daughter, but nothing's come, so they sent all of their warriors to search all over between 2 kingdoms, but the giant had already hidden the stone royal couples. So the youngest son that left in the kingdom eager to find his brothers, but the king afraid that he might lose his last one and only son too. But the prince promised that he will be returning with his brothers and their princess. At the end, the king had to let him go. So the young prince traced along the route that his brothers took. On the way, he saw a dying pigeon. He went to look for it, and the little helpless crow begged the prince to spare some food and water as he injured on his way to deliver message to another kingdom. The prince made only enough ration for him, but he shared his food and cured the little pigeon. The pigeon was really thankful, and he'll be helping him whenever the prince needs. The prince continued his journey, and on his way he saw a dry lake, and there were two fishes nearly died on dry land. When the fishes saw the prince, they begged to put them in stream nearby. The prince felt really sorry, but the stream had already dried out too, so he took the fishes and put it in his water bag. The fish were very happy that they won't die today. As the prince go on, he reached to the start of the dark valley. He saw an animal which seems to be a wolf. He approached it, and the wolf was barely breathing. He tried to wake that wolf, and when the wolf noticed the prince, he begged for the prince's horse as a meal, as he hadn't eaten for weeks. The prince denied that, but the wolf promised that he will be serving as his right if he can eat the horse. The prince tried to refuse that, but he let the wolf eat his horse. After the meal, the wolf told the prince to put saddle on him. And yet the horse that the prince took was very fast, the wolf somehow even faster, running around the valley, jumping from spikes and rocks, and finally they reached the giant cave. There he saw the stone statue of his brothers and their princess. The wolf told the prince to start a plan to kill the giant right now, as the giant's not home. The prince was very scared, but he went inside the house. Everything was relatively larger than the prince, and suddenly they heard the giant storm from the valley. The wolf warned the prince that is giant coming home. He told the prince to hide under the couches. Sure enough, that was a giant, and turns out the wolf was the giant pet, but he ran secretly because he don't want to live there anymore. The giant surprised to see the wolf back in his home, but he was distracted by the smell of living human. The giant asked the wolf, why is he smelling human? The wolf lied that he found some meat outside of the valley, and that was the smell of the meat. The giant don't believe the wolf, but he was very tired, so he don't care about that as serious as before. The giant was heading towards his bed, but the wolf stopped him, asking where the giant kept his soul at. The prince was very confused when the wolf asked that question. The giant chuckled and asked what the wolf be doing when he know where his soul kept. The wolf answered that he will be guarding that place as he's guarding the most important thing. The giant laughed and said that he kept his soul under the doormat, and he went to sleep. The prince crawled under from the couches and asked the wolf why he asked that question. As the wolf explained that the giant is no ordinary giant. He was a skillful wizard, and one day his experiment gone wrong and became uncontrollable giant. And as the wizard, he took his soul out of him and kept it as a crystal at somewhere, even he don't even know. The wolf took the prince to the roof of the house to rest as the giant barely go up there. Next day when the giant left the house, the wolf waked the prince and looked under the doormat for the soul crystal but found nothing. The wolf cheered the prince that he will try asking the giant again. Sure enough, when the giant came home, he saw the wolf sitting still on the doormat. He asked what the wolf was doing. The wolf replied that he loved his master so much that he's protecting his soul. The giant laughed out loud and he said, do you really think I would keep my soul at the door? The wolf said, if he don't keep his soul there, where would he keep it? The giant said, what would you be going to do then? The wolf said he will be guarding that until he died. The giant was so happy that he got someone to guard his heart for free. He whispered to the wolf that he kept his heart at the very end of the valley. There's a deep dark cave protected by giant spiders and scorpions. And at the end, there will be a room with a deep well. But he will be needing a key to unlock the gate to enter the room. And in there, he put his crystal at the deepest of the well. The prince memorized everything, and when the giant fell asleep, he told the wolf to go there. The cave was very deep, dark, and gloomy, and found a lot of spiders and scorpions. But the prince managed to kill them all, and they reached the room. The key was small enough, but it was hanging on the roof. Both the prince and the wolf can't reach. The prince was about to give up, but he remembered that he had a pigeon as a help. He yelled out the pigeon, and sure enough, the pigeon flew into the cave and knocked the key off the hook. The prince thanked the pigeon for helping, and then they entered the room. The giant said it's a well because it was small for him, but for the prince it was like a giant pool with walls around it. He climbed to the top and saw a shiny crystal at the very bottom. It was very deep, and the prince can't hold his breath for a long time. So he realized that he had his fish friend in his water bag. He let the fishes out and asked them if they could swim to the bottom and take the crystal. The fishes swam into the well and picked the crystal and handed it over to the prince. As soon as the prince had the crystal, they heard an echo coming from the cave. As the giant felt that his soul is not safe, they saw a giant coming towards them and begging for not to break that, and he will be releasing the prince and their wife. But the wolf jumped into the prince and knocked the crystal off. The crystal hit the spike and shattered, and the giant turns into smokes and faded away. The prince looked at the wolf, and the wolf had turned into the handsome young human. He hugged the prince, telling that he was a son of that giant and got accidentally turned into a wolf, and the giant didn't even notice that his son got turned into a wolf. The prince hugged the handsome man tightly and thanking him. When they go out of the cave, they saw the prince's brothers being happy with their wife, and they thanked their little brave brother, and they all went back to the kingdom. They reached their home by the dawn, and the king saw his sons returning home with their beloved ones. The king rushed down, not even caring about his royal pride. He ran towards the gate and hugged all of his sons tightly. They introduced their princess to the king, and the king sent a message to the princess' father telling him that they will be organizing the wedding within 1 week. And for the last, the king thanked the youngest prince and let him live with his charming handsome man as his partner. So the king and the prince and their beloved ones lived together in the kingdom happily ever after. Baby, you fell asleep? Thank goodness. You really such a baby. But you are my baby. I love you. Sleep well, honey.